Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Range. I was trying to shoot this video yesterday, but the thunderstorm came very quickly. So I decided to start one more time at the same place, but today morning. I'm shooting this video firstly in order to talk about the importance of installing the fence on my land, and secondly, so that you have an understanding what work is required. This video is an excellent theoretical instruction, and further I will show all the stages live. But first, let me tell a few words about myself, and then I will go to the design and installation of the fence itself. I have my own land of 10,000 square meters, where I plan to build a large house, to plant a garden with fruit trees, to install an apiary, to build a pond with fish, and to build a large modern garage for designing and modernizing custom jeeps. I need all this, both for self-realization and to convey my values to the world. I hope that my products and production will make people more conscious, happier and healthy. And my channel will help to inspire people to self-realization and help to build a cohesive community. I also advocate for personal anonymity, privacy, finance decentralization and information security. The construction of the off-road range is moving slowly but surely. For 1.5 years, I cut a total of 1/4 of the hectare of wild vegetation, built a box of a house where there is still no water, floor, household appliances and furniture. I bought a trailer and a sea container as a warehouse, and also bought an old Jeep that is now almost unable to ride due to the harsh conditions it has to operate in. And the lack of finances doesn't allow me to carry out normal, full-fledged repair and modernization. I created a separate subscription on Patreon if you would like to support me in repair and modernization my Jeep. For long-term subscription, I will plant a tree in your honor. And in the near future, I will release a video of planting trees for my viewers who were the first to support me and advocate preserving our planet. I will be grateful to one-time donations as well. But let's talk about the fence. In the beginning of the year, in the video number 44, I talked about the fact that I needed a fence. More than 7 months have passed, but I didn't even start the fence. But I designed its installation and calculated its costs for today. Why do I need a fence at all if I have repeatedly said that I live almost near the forest and there are no people around me? The main function of the fence is protection, and in my case it is not only protection from people, but also protection from wild animals. For many people it will be even impossible to imagine, but roe deer are freely working on my territory, as well as deer and boars. Also wolves and bears are also found here sometimes. And of course I need protection from all these animals. Moreover, it will be safer for animals not to approach a housing of a person, since they can be frightened and unreasonably begin to behave aggressively. Roe deer. I meet them almost every day. They spend night in the thickets of the off-road range or eat grass in various places. I repeatedly encountered them at any time of the day, sometimes even head-on, when I examined the thickets or checked the level of the water in the well. Sometimes they just stand and observe from afar and then run away. But in general, they are very shy, despite the fact that they are already used to me here. Earlier, they used to spend night here as well, but then I cut down the spot and built a house here. But don't worry, the roe deer do not suffer from this. There is a large forest nearby and they have somewhere to spend the night. If you worry about the habitat and the population of roe deer, then hunters bring much more harm if you talk about wild meat and pleasure, and not about cleaning the forest from sick animals. Deer. They spent the night around my territory, and it is understandable for crushed grass and the presence of underlay. Although my land doesn't belong to the land where they sleep, I still want to protect myself. The deer will not attack just like that. It is generally an herbivore, but this is a large animal with poor vision, and in case of danger, and especially in the wedding season, the deer often doesn't think and doesn't recognize where he runs. Sometimes a deer can recognize a big and warm silhouette of a person and rush to him and bring great injuries. Especially often they are aggressive in the wedding season. Also, deer zealously protect the territory around them and their cubs, and can rush to a car or a person even if they themselves accidentally go to the road. But this doesn't mean that people urgently have to protect themselves from deer. It is enough to behave carefully and not provoke animals. They don't touch us, therefore we also shouldn't invade their space. Boars. Boars love the fruits of the trees, as well as digging under the trees in search of rotten fruits and mushrooms, and also to arrange beds under the trees. Therefore, it is important for me now to collect all the fruits from the ground, so as not to attract them with the smell. Of course, in the morning I don't meet them, but I don't want to take risks. Hares, badgers, raccoons and other animals that eat the garden. These animals are harmless to humans, but these are they who bring the most harm to agriculture. And if I want to continue to grow my garden and ennoble my land, then some rodents and other animals can completely destroy it. Also, all mammals can be carriers of rabies, which still cannot be treated when infected and is fatal to humans. Wolves. I saw traces of wolves last fall and in winter here and here. They are clearly visible in the snow or on frozen ground when the traces freezes on the sand or on the grass. As usual, wolves don't go here. They have their own route near my site. Nevertheless, sometimes they can appear here. Wolf is one of the most intelligent and cunning animals that cannot be noticed and which is very difficult to catch on the hunt. So if their population grows, it becomes dangerous not only for humans, but in general for the ecosystem, since the wolf is a large predator that requires a large amount of food, that is, other animals. I want to emphasize that when I'm talking about hunting, I'm taking only that shooting that is aimed at the regulating of population, the balance of the ecosystem, and the survival of healthy individuals. I'm totally against any hunt for the sake of entertainment, accuracy training, meat, sales of skins, fans, horns, feathers, bones, and so on. Bears. I will disclose you a small spoiler. In the near future, several hives will be given to me. Beekeeping is one of my great desires, which I talked about in the video number 1 and 2. This year I haven't seen the traces of bears on my land yet, but bears feel smells for a few kilometers, and their speed can reach 56 kilometers per hour, with a weight up to 400 kilograms. And a bear will perceive a person near the hive as a threat, and I can hardly cope with it. I also need protection from any wild animals that can attack, and not because of anger, but because of fear for their lives. I also need protection from animals who come to the smell of food, because regardless of how you sort garbage, a human's home still has a specific smell, which can attract wild dogs, raccoon dogs, jackals, foxes, or even representatives of wildcats, for example. protection from animals with rabies. This is very important. Rabies is transferred by all mammals, and with the initial stages of the disease, an infected animal doesn't differ from a healthy one. Later, the instincts change, and an animal sick with rabies will come to the house to a person and then attack him. Yes, there is a rabies vaccine, but this doesn't mean at all that I have to risk myself, that I will have time to get to the hospital, or that there will be a vaccine in the hospital. And most importantly, a vaccine from rabies doesn't give you any guarantees at all. Of course, I also meet lizards, mantis, and various snakes. For example, in the video number 36, I showed how I saved several poisonous snakes from the well. Anyway, it is better not to approach them, because their bites are painful anyway. And in general, there is no need to stress the animal. Is it scary to me? No, but I try not to attract animals with the smell of food, and also I prefer to stay at home at night, because night is the time of predators. Wild animals will go to human dwelling either from great hunger or from rabies. In all other cases, they prefer to stay away. And given that the sense of smell of animals is dozen times stronger than people's, they smell housing in 100 meters and prefer to bypass it. And of course, a fence is protection against people. People are different. Unfortunately, some people don't know what boundaries are, neither personal nor territorial. And for some people, it may be normal to go to someone else's territory intentionally. And his aims are incomprehensible. Either he wants to steal something, or he threatens me as a person, as a young woman who lives alone. I have a lot of equipment and things that are valuable to me, that were not easy for me. For example, my car, my trailer, my thick container, a chainsaw, a fuel brush cutter, various equipment for the well, and other things that I have already invested thousands and thousands of dollars in. And if some of the things are in more or less safety in container or before my eyes, then I cannot buy materials for the construction of other things in the open air on the territory visible. Franciscans distinguish three factors that push people to theft: open access, impunity, and time. This means that if I buy, for example, several tons of brick and reinforcement that will lie in the visibility zone for a long time, or an expensive filtering equipment that will be in the well without a fence, then one great day when I will leave for the city, or one beautiful night when I will sleep tightly, my materials and equipment will leave the site, and the theft will remain unpunished. In addition, in the future I plan to build a garage and a workshop with tools and equipment for hundreds of thousands of dollars. All this is an absolutely undeniable reason why I need a fence to protect my territory from potential criminals in the future. In addition, if we talk about protecting the territory, then for me it is inexplicable why for some people it is permissible and normal to violate the personal space of another person out of interest. It is absolutely ugly, impolite, and inaccurately to put one's own curiosity above the freedom of another person, to impose the presence, and to offer close acquaintance, even in the virtual space. Unfortunately, men are more likely to try to get acquainted, flirt, and offer meetings. And in uncrowded places, such behavior simply scares a person, especially since a man is physically stronger and larger. But even if no one comes to uninvited guests, let's remember that wars are going on around the world. the boundaries of what is permitted change. Lifestyle worsens, and fluxes of immigrants change without limitations to nation and territory, because all people are different. And I'm glad to help a person in trouble, but I'm against the fact that some unfamiliar strangers will appear on my land and decide to abuse my hospitality. Moreover, I don't want people to litter on my land, and this is a huge problem. Therefore, these factors are a great reason to build a fence. What fence do I need? What materials I needed? What is the price of its installation? And what is the construction process? To begin with, the fence is only the visible part of the whole system. A lot depends on geography and geology, on the composition of soil and sedimentary rocks the site is located on. And sometimes geoengineering works can be several times more expensive than directly the fence. But I think that I will tell you about this in one of the following videos. Otherwise, I would have to make this video an hour longer, and the oral statement of technical terms would make you to switch this video as soon as possible. Therefore, I will tell you what I need to put a fence on my own, how much it will cost, and very briefly, how I will do it. So, what is the construction technology for installing the fence? Firstly, this is the preparation of the soil along the border. It is the backfilling with soil along the boundary of the plot to raise the ground level if necessary. It is the shedding of the earth with water to compact the soil, and the earth stamping with a vibratory plate to a density corresponding to the standard for further installation of the fence. This is work with material for the fence: cutting reinforcement, cutting square pipes for fence posts, primer and painting posts. This is drilling of holes in rocky soil, creating formwork in each hole, creating drainage at the bottom of holes in the form of mixture of sand and crushed stone. This is installation the posts into the hole and partial concreting of them. Later in this video, I will tell you why I need partial concreting. This is fastening the fence canvas, whose length today is about 700 meters. This is the grid tension and its fixing on the post with a special wire. And of course, this is all the work on installing the gates with the connection of special automation. What do I need to install a fence? Materials, tools, consumables, place for work and storage of materials, and salary hard stuff, since on my own I will put the fence for several years, and the work of heavy equipment. Materials for the fence. On the one hand, I don't want to hide behind a 5-meter concrete fence or to put a luxurious fence of expensive wood or forged metal. On the other hand, I need sufficient protection and concealment of my territory and property from prying eyes. At the same time, I want to keep the feeling of freedom and create the most greenery space around me. So I opted for a fence of a metal grid. It will be transparent, but with the correct installation of posts and tensioning the grid, the fence will be tough. The grid should be in the polymer, as this will save it from rust for at least 5 years, and at best for 10. The posts should be painted in several layers with a primer and then paint. This is also needed to protect them from moisture and rust for at least 5 years. Part of the post will be in the ground. Some people simply dig a post in the ground. In some cases, this is enough. But my site is in rocky terrain and stands on embossed sedimentary rocks, and I'm interested in doing such technology that my posts stand up to 100 years, regardless of external conditions and soil movements. Painted posts will be installed on a pillow of sand and gravel. Almost half of the post will be in the ground. The posts themselves will partially be in a concrete layer in the ground. This will prevent movement in rocky ground and preserve structural integrity of the fence in the future. It will also protect it from moisture, and it is necessary for uniform pressure of soil from all sides. Thus, this will affect the durability of the posts and the uniform tension of the grid and its stability. What materials do I need? Square metal pipes for posts. Square metal pipes for corner posts. They account for more pressure, therefore they should be thicker. Square metal pipes for the gate racks, since I will have an entry to the house and an entry for the future garage, and all this must be taken into account initially. Primer and polymer paint for metal for posts. The grid in a polymer around 700 meters long. Metal bars, various wires for tension and consolidation according to the technology. Bulk materials: sand, crushed stone, gravel, cement, and various plasticizers and additives for the durability of concrete and protection against aggressive waters and soil. And of course, the components and mobile parts of the gate, automation and bases for them, which make up a considerable part of the budget. All this today costs around $45,000, and these are only materials. Unfortunately, in construction, it is very often impossible to foresee the final price. As a rule, construction costs never decrease, but only grow. It is very important to consider, calculate, and check everything yourself. Otherwise, you risk paying several times more because of unscrupulous assistants who, at your expense, will invisibly acquire materials for themselves. Although perhaps this is just my negative experience. Tools. What tools do I need, taking into account the fact that I will do everything myself? Welding inverter. The apparatus of semi-automatic welding. Corner grinding machine. Cross-cut meter saw for metal. Compressor. I think the need for these tools doesn't require explanation. I need them to cut metal, grind, and weld. Why will I cut the metal myself? Because bringing 12-meter metal bars and cutting them on the spot is much cheaper than asking to cut 1,000 meters of metal bars as I need at the factory. Welding workbench to weld posts, reinforcement, and wire evenly. Perhaps I will make it myself, but this is not for sure. Spray gun for painting posts. Level for building a level. A mechanized sieve. It sounds strange, but it is necessary first to make washed sand, whose price is higher than ordinary sand due to production technology, and secondly, in order to sort garbage and thus clean the maximum of my land from the waste of those who were here before. Submersible vibrator for compaction of concrete. Technical water. It is needed for watering the soil to compact it. To do this, I have 2 wells that are not yet ready for use. Euro cups for the accumulation of water. The tents for work in the pouring rain, under the scorching sun, for covering the tools, and so on. And many other things, such as additional clamps, metal corners, and so on, which will cost like a wing of the aircraft. Tools for installing a fence today will cost $25,000. This is a huge figure, the viewer will say, and I will say the same. So why will I do everything myself And why do I plan to buy all those tools? Firstly, because I will buy them far from only installing a fence. Later, I have to build the construction of the well, a septic tank, the construction of a workshop, a garage, a pond, and so on. In addition, I plan to repair and modernize at least my Jeep, and further to design and modernize other Jeeps. Yes, this will be not this year, but I plan my activities for a long time, and these tools will serve me for a long time. Secondly, renting tools for a complex and long-term work is a very expensive and risky activity. Only for installing a fence, the total rent will cost me more than the purchase, and its quality is very doubtful. And if some tools will break, not only will I stay without a tool, but also I will be forced to pay for what has broken. Consumables. What are included in consumables? These are work clothes, hard hats, welding masks, welding overalls, hoses, extension cords, remote lights, spare parts, oils, grinding circles, shovels, drills, and everything that will break. Fuel for the logistics of materials and fuel for people's logistics. Shampoos, soap, laundry detergents, because if I hire at least a few people, then they need to take shower and wash their clothes. Various consumables to strengthen the relief, to organize workplaces, to build the formwork of holes for the posts, and so on, which today I cannot provide in detail. Here I think it costs around $17,000 on consumables and another $15,000 or more on fuel. Yes, the numbers are large, and there are calculations that confirm these numbers. However, they are confidential and I cannot share you with them. This is a lot of hours of expensive and difficult work, and they take into account features of a particular land. And I don't plan to give consultations on calculations now or share contacts of specialists who help me. Place for work and storage of materials. On the one hand, in the point above, I already took into account most of the costs for organizing a place for work. On the other hand, I didn't indicate the main places of work and storage of materials. And these are thick containers. I need 3 more thick containers. Firstly, during the rain, the material will remain dry. Secondly, I will carry out work on cutting, painting and welding inside them. Perhaps it seems that 3 containers is a lot. But as I said before, to install posts I need about 1,000 meters of reinforcement. And for the fence canvas I need about 700 meters of the grid. These are large volumes. And also, it is advisable to carry out several types of work at the same time, so as not to lose precious time in dry and warm weather, which in total lasts about 7 months a year. 3 containers will cost me from $6,000 to $12,000 depending on the condition and the necessity to restore them, without taking into account delivery and unloading here. Salary hired staff, since on my own I will put the fence for several years, and the work of heavy equipment. Salaries of hired personnel, if I work not alone, will be up to $40,000. I suppose that I will need to hire at least 2 people, but it is better 4, because in a well-coordinated team, work goes much faster. It is also the work of heavy equipment, whose cost can even fly into space, but I will try to fit up to $60,000. This is work on marking the territory, work with earth, spilling and compaction of soil. It is drilling of holes, filling and concreting holes for posts. These are work on the installation of enclosing structures, and so on and so on. As you understand, I want to fence the entire border around 700 meters long at once. I received proposals to fence just a part of the territory, for example, the most vulnerable, and later to complete the installation of fence, that is, to build a fence gradually. On the one hand, this is a good option, since I'm surrounded with thickets of trees and strong rocky relief from several sides, and it will be generally strange if someone can appear there. On the other hand, I don't want to put up a fence just on one side, because roe deer and other active animals make their roots through the site. And if I put up a fence just on one side, wild animals won't be able to pass through the site. They either will be scared and begin to behave aggressively, or will simply break the fence. For example, a roe deer can easily knock down a fence with its weight at full speed. This is inhumane to animals and dangerous for me. Still, I will proceed from my financial situation, and if you would like to support my growth and development, then I will be grateful for your likes, comments and subscriptions. Your actions promote my channel greatly, and I don't use advertising. Firstly, I want my channel to be found by people with similar views and values to mine. People we can build a community with. People who support each other and strive for worthy goals. And in addition, advertising costs are unaffordable for me. If you would like to support me financially, then in the description of the video you will find links for my Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee and several crypto wallets. I will be grateful for your support. But as I said earlier, the fence is only the external, visible part of the whole work. A lot depends on geography and geology of the territory. Since I choose a site for specific needs and not ennobled and not ready for living, I need the most complex geoengineering work whose duration, cost and energy consumption will be several times higher than the installation of fence itself. This work will include raising the ground level on the borders, laying a drainage system, but let me talk about this in one of the following videos, and thus describe a comprehensive structure for all geoengineering work to create a complex system called fence installation. Of course, I will do it if I get enough support from our viewers in the comments. And further, I will show all the stages during construction live. So, as for today, my expenses for installing just a fence will be more than $210,000. $45,000 from this amount is for materials for the fence, which cannot decrease but can just go up. $25,000 for tools, $17,000 for consumables, $15,000 for fuel, from $6,000 to $12,000 for containers that will be used as workplaces and warehouses, and further for various specific purposes on the off-road range, up to $40,000 for hired workers, and around $60 for heavy equipment. Is it possible to reduce these numbers? Of course, I will try to do it, but these figures are already very tight and only bare necessities are included here. I have to build a fence anyway, and I have to earn this money anyway as well. I hope that after this video you understand how important your own safety is, as well as safety of animals that near you. And you understand that it is impossible to build a quality fence cheaply, carefully and lightly. If you want to live your life efficiently and happily, you need to approach everything responsibly, so as not to redo 100 times and not to waste your time, energy and money. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to take on any business at all, because you simply will be disappointed because you don't succeed, and it will be your own fault. In any case, there is an expression: the construction cannot be finished, it can only be paused. But sometimes even pausing is impossible, and you must understand for yourself your goals and path to go to the end. You must decide for yourself what is real for you to do and what is impossible, and strive for your goals. And if you see something senseless in the actions of others, then look around yourself and think about what you are doing personally, and whether your actions bring any sense for your development, for the development of the society now and in the future. In my turn, I hope that my video was useful for you, and I will be grateful for your support. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Range. I wish you all the best and see you soon.